Welcome to the CX Goalkeeper podcast, where we unlock the winning edge through conversations with industry experts and thought leaders. Each episode explores how transforming business through human experience creates real impact. Join us for actionable insights and fresh perspectives that inspire success. Follow, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. The next episode could spark your next big idea.
Big news! The CCW Europe Summit 2025 is just around the corner. October's must-attend CX event. The CX Goalkeeper podcast is exploring key themes from the summit to help you be fully prepared. Join Europe's top CX leaders to benchmark, network, and co-create in an environment built for innovation. Spots are limited. Register now using the code CXGoalkeeper20. I repeat, CXGoalkeeper20 to save 20% on your ticket. Click the link in the show notes and secure your spot today. Let's shape the future of customer experience together. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CX Goalkeeper podcast. Today I'm with Darshan Mehta. Hi Darshan, how are you?
Hey Gregorio, how are you? Nice to be here.
Thank you very much for joining my podcast. I had the pleasure to be on yours, and I'm super happy now to host you on my. We will introduce yourself. We will introduce also your podcast. Don't worry. But now, first, the title of the episode: Haha Moments That Change Everything. Together with you, super happy to kick off this discussion. And as usual, let's start with a short guest introduction. Darshan, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Darshan. It rhymes with Martian. You can just make it easier that way. And I was born in India, but I grew up in the U.S. since the age of 4. Professionally, I've been involved in marketing, branding, and advertising and market research. And about a year or so ago, I released a book called Getting to AHA, Why Today's Insights Are Tomorrow's Facts. And then that also led to the podcast that you and I are on. I had a great conversation, also called Getting to AHA. And that's my background in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. And I always like to ask also this question: which values drive your professional career?
Well, I think the main thing that drives me is to constantly wanting to learn. That's tied to a decision I think many of us face, whether we do it consciously or subconsciously. And that is, do we merely survive or do we thrive? And I choose to thrive. But associated with that comes, I think, certain attributes and things. And that is, one, to thrive means to go beyond your comfort zone. It means to stretch your envelope. And that means there are going to be times where you're not feeling comfortable, there's no certainty, but there's always an opportunity to learn and grow. And so I think that's one of the things that you can never stop.
These are really wise words. We all want to thrive. We want to learn, and therefore let's start this game. Haha moments that change everything. Darshan, what?
I just want to qualify one thing though. There's not a right or wrong answer between survive and thrive. It's a personal decision that people make. So for those who say you just want to survive, it's not a wrong decision. It's just a different pursuit and a different mindset. It's just, I particularly choose to thrive. And I suspect you're the same way based on our conversation. But I don't think everyone can be a survivor and everyone just can be a thriver either.
Thank you very much for this clarification. I really appreciate. I didn't want to misinterpret your words. Thank you very much for this clarification. What was your most significant aha moment that changed everything for you?
It was a significant aha moment maybe 4 or 5 years ago when it felt like anything and everything that could go wrong went wrong. And it felt like, what else can the universe throw at you to go wrong? And it was one of those moments I would not replace. And I'll tell you why, because it's one of those moments when you face it. And I think everyone to a degree at some point faces something that just really puts them at a low level, right? And you say, what else can go wrong? You kind of have a choice. Do you want to cry or do you want to laugh? Again, there's no right or wrong answer, but I chose to laugh because at that point I said, you know what? Fine. No matter what, throw it at me. Because I will survive. And you know why? I can think, I can breathe, I'm alive. Then I think I have enough tools to survive and I can think. So, And I think that's part of the thing in life is that necessity is the mother of invention.
That's true.
And so, sometimes I think Mother Nature, again, wants to maybe put you on your toes and put you in a position where, great, everything's going great. Now here's a challenge you hadn't thought of. And I've learned, and you know this, you live long enough, there's cycles, right? I mean, I've learned that when things are going great, be prepared. Something's going to come back to bring you back down. But when things are really going all bad, be ready. It's going to turn around too. And I can't predict the exact timing, but I can tell you, I know there's cycles. That's all.
Thank you. And now you are making me a bit curious because we had several discussions and you shared that you are also in the food industry. You have a restaurant, and perhaps what's your haha moment in this industry that you started working in?
It's interesting because I've never had a restaurant. So this is my very first restaurant. And of course, the restaurant business is not an easy business. So I was asking myself, what's going to be the guiding principles for this restaurant? And so I went back to kind of my marketing and branding roots. And I said, let's just keep it simple for me, my staff, and my customers. So I've told everybody at the restaurant, we exist for two reasons. One being we want to delight our customers. And two, I want to evoke an emotion with every dish. And the reason is if you come to my restaurant, which you're most welcome to, please come to Thailand and come to Carmina, Italian, Latin American restaurant. And if you say wow to a dish, I think you're more likely to do two things naturally. One, you're likely to come back. And two, you're likely to tell others about it. But that's only going to happen if I can get you to wow. So that's why I kind of relied on my roots in marketing and branding to evoke an emotion. And if you think about it, business is not that complicated, right? If you can do one of three things in business, those three things people are willing to pay you money for. And what are those three things? If you can save people time, money, or make something easier, they will give you money for them. And if you can do one of those things, I'd say your chance of being successful is 1x. If you can do two, it's 2x, 3x. So if you can do all three things, I would say your chance of being successful increases 3x. But if you can evoke an emotion in addition to those three things, I think now you're talking maybe 6, 10, 12x. I don't know. It depends on the level of emotion that you evoke and everything else that you provide. And that's I think the X factor in business is try to find something to evoke an emotion.
You are so true. I think this is key, and this is also the foundation of building long-lasting relationships. It's building trust and moving emotions. I know that you interviewed already a lot of people on your podcast, and you spoke about these haha moments. What's the common patterns that you see in people discovering their haha moments?
Well, before we do that, maybe we should talk about what are aha moments, right?
Let's do this.
So, because every people have different definitions of it. So, aha moments are those light bulb moments where you all of a sudden go, aha, that's it. It's like a revelation, right? And so then the next question is, what is a revelation or what is an insight? Because I think many people have different definitions of insight. The best, I can tell you what I think is an insight, okay? I feel an insight is a combination of various things, not just one thing. Many times people think an insight is just a fact or figure or something, but it's a combination of that plus trends, observing things that are happening at the macro and micro level, right? So the best example I can give you is a comedian that presents something in a way from over here and over here, puts it together and makes you say, oh my God, I never thought of that, but that's so true. That is an insight. That is an aha moment, because then you're combining things that you hadn't thought about, but they're presented in a way and you hit a core truth. And that is an insight. And that is also an aha moment. And so then the next question is, how do you get to these aha moments? And I would argue that they're all around you. You just have to have conversations. So I'm involved with many startups here in the educational program in Thailand. And one of the things all the teams go through is how do you get to product market fit? And the way to do that is you need key insights to help you differentiate, to innovate, and, as you said, build loyalty. But those comes from insights. And to tap into those insights, you need to actually talk to your customers and find out what their pains are, the trigger points, and what's actually going to motivate them. And also, what could be the emotional factors. Now, if you want, I can give you an example of the 3 things plus 1 that we talked about earlier, something that everyone can identify with. Let's go back in time to when Steve Jobs introduced the iPod, right? Not the iPhone, but the iPod. At that time, most people were using MP3 players and CD players to go portable with their music. But Steve Jobs was in a position, and him also being a music lover himself, saw that the size of hard drives was coming down, size-wise, physically. The price was coming down, and that he could design a device that could save you time, right? It could save you money, and it could be easier. In other words, and he said, you can put 1,000 songs in your pocket. I remember at the time, I'm thinking, are you crazy? 1,000 songs? That's more than my entire music collection of CDs, right? But so again, he made the product easier and less expensive, and also, saves you time with your music. But then he added the emotional element. Do you remember that? He added a flywheel to the thing. So you could scroll through the music instantly, 1,000 songs. It wouldn't have to, keep scrolling. You could fly through it that was cool, right? When you did that the first time, everybody says, wow, that's cool. That was the emotional part of it. And so there was no doubt in my mind that that was going to be a successful product. And then that led to the iPhone as well.
Thank you
And now
for
if you think about it, we combine our music, our camera, our phone, our contact, everything into one device now. But that was an insight at that time. But now it's become a fact of life.
That's so true. It's so interesting. You shared an example, and it's well known. We can all understand that. Is there a process or a methods that you developed or that people can use, can leverage to get to these insights?
Yeah, and they've been around for a long time. I mean, it's basically doing market research or, seeking insights. And there's 2 ways to do it, and this has been around for years. This is nothing I'm inventing or new. You can basically do quantitative and qualitative, right? And there's advantages and disadvantages to both. But ideally, what you should do is qualitative first and then do quantitative. So let's break that down. What's qualitative? This is where you actually go out and have conversations with your customers and even your employees and look for where you think there are opportunities to be tapped into, right? So let's go back to the MP3 player. Let's assume, Jobs was doing that. Assume he was not an enthusiast, but I don't think he needed to do this. He just had good intuition. But let's assume he had to do this. He'd go and find, hey, a lot of people don't like carrying a lot of CDs with them. It's cumbersome. You can't take all your songs. You don't know. You have to know in advance what kind of mood you're going to be in, that kind of stuff. What if, we could fix that? So if you had conversations, you'd know the pain points. But then he knew his industry. And he could say, well, I know in his mind, the hard drive prices, size, and everything are coming down. So I think I could solve this problem in a better, easier way and cost less money. And so that's what happens. And that's true for any industry. You talk to customers, and there's always ways to differentiate from a product to everything. But you don't really know until you talk to them. I'll give you another example. When Airbnb started, they weren't actually doing very well because the only place they were doing well was New York. But they found that once they did it, it wasn't that sustained. It wasn't that much business. And say, they were with Y Incubator and they were told, go to New York, go talk to your customers. Don't sit here in California and try to think of all the solutions. Go. And they talked. So they went and spoke with key people that were actually doing their, their apartment, condo, whatever, as an Airbnb. And they realized these people were not good at taking pictures. They didn't know how to take good, enticing, compelling pictures. So they took the pictures for them. Within a week, they doubled their business, right? Again, you'd think a simple thing, but nothing that one would have thought about sitting behind a desk across the country, but something that came to light because of conversations and having a light bulb over and saying, I can see people are not really presenting their properties in the most attractive light.
That's really another incredible example and very simple to implement. Perhaps also everybody is speaking about artificial intelligence, new technology, digital transformation. What trends are you seeing in the creating and finding these insights, but also leveraging them and implementing them? What are the most important trends that you are following?
So artificial intelligence is quite interesting. It interests me. I use it. I like it. But like anything, there's always a plus and a minus. And I understand some people are concerned jobs are going to go away and stuff, and that's probably true. There's no doubt. But on the other hand, I think new types of jobs are going to be created because I personally have a little bit of a challenge with the word artificial intelligence right now at the stage it's at. To me, it's much more automated intelligence because it's taking a lot of information, putting it together and compiling it. But I think we're going to get to the artificial intelligence part. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I just don't think it's quite there. What I mean by that, I think it's missing the human emotional component to it. But I think it's going to get there, right? It's just to me right now, it's not true artificial intelligence to me. But having said that, I think artificial intelligence is also only as good as your ability to query it and query it properly, and then also to train it, right? It still needs that proper input in that query. So it's still going to need the human element. But I think the capabilities that it offers is tremendous. I mean, you can do things save a tremendous amount of time, from now to writing copy if you want, or to even creating an app from scratch. I was working on one the other day. The idea came day one. Day two, we actually had a working app up and running because of AI. I mean, it's crazy, but it's possible.
That's so true. And now we're speaking about trends. You already mentioned that we will have the real artificial intelligence. Let's jump in the future. Fast forward in 10 years from now, we are back on the CX Goalkeeper podcast. What we are discussing about?
I think it's interesting. Things again go in cycles, right? And I do think a lot of times humans and things tend to repeat itself. I think we might be discovering or talking about a new technology at that point and talking about the pros and cons of the technology at that point. And now seeing the positives and the negatives of what happened with the AI revolution. Or now it's actually at the point where it's incorporating the emotional components of AI. And now we're struggling with that. But I think that the bigger struggle we're all going to have is differentiating truth from falsehoods because AI can seem so real and I think that's going to be the challenge for humans is to be able to distinguish between what's really true versus what's truly just misinformation or outright lies. And that I think is again going to go back to the human element of knowledge, education, experience. Ultimately, we're going to have to use our own capabilities to differentiate and say, hey, does this really make sense or not?
That's so true. And perhaps I need to ask also these questions. In 10 years from now, how many Michelin stars will have your restaurant?
I'm not sure. I'm not going for the Michelin star. I'm just going for the wow.
That's good.
Because going for the Michelin star is a whole different ballgame.
Darshan, thank you for all the insights that you share with us and you explain with us. What's the best way to find you?
You can contact me at iResearch. My email is simple dm@iresearch.com. Or come to Thailand and come to Carmina restaurant in Bangkok.
And where
Thank
we
you.
can find where we can find your podcast?
The podcast is Getting to AHA. It's on all the podcast channels from Apple to Spotify, and also the YouTube channel where you can actually see the video version and the audio version. And that's also Getting to AHA is available there. And my book is Getting to AHA is also available on Amazon. Getting to AHA: Why Today's Insights Are Tomorrow's Facts on Amazon.
Thank you very much. And I will share all this information also in the show notes. Now we are coming to Darshan Golden Nugget. It's something that we discussed or something new to leave to the audience with.
The Golden Nugget is, I would say that I've learned, let's put it this way, I've learned what my purpose in life is. And that is learn to be human, which means it never ends. It's an ongoing thing that you're always constantly striving, thriving, and trying to do things, but knowing that there's no end to the learning. And, I often have these discussions with people who say, I failed, and ask them, define failure. And they say, well, I made a decision, it was the wrong decision. Okay. Again, describe the failure. And they say, well, I'm never going to do that again. I said, but did you learn from it? Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. That's not a failure, right? Because if you learn from it, it's not actually failing. The failing is actually not learning from it and keep doing the same thing.
Darshan, thank you very much for your time. Please stay with me. To the audience for today, it's everything. Thank you very much. We hope that you will get also to your aha moments, and you had already a lot of them. Please read Darshan's book, follow the podcast, have a look at his YouTube channel, Aha Moments. I was part of it. It was really fun, and Darshan is a great host. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on your podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share the word of mouth. Subscribe it, share it. Until the next episode, please don't forget, we are not in a B2B or B2C business. We are in a human-to-human environment. Thank you.